Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is Wednesday, which means it's time for my Once Upon a Time recap. So to recap on tonight's episode, it was definitely a Zelena-centric episode. We got to see a little bit of her past in Oz. We saw young Zelena again. Apparently, some boys were cruel to her and were teasing her about her powers, but this other boy who I keep calling him Samson, but I know that's not his right name, but it sounds similar to that. But he was saying that her powers, her using it for the greater good, that's what's made her special, and she's able to fend off the two boys who were bullying her. And while in Oz, we see Zelena, or as the Wicked Witch, eating dinner alone, and the guy Samson from her past comes and says that he's the fairy from the north, not the fairy, the witch from the north, which I assume that was Glinda, put him under this curse, and we find out that that's actually the Tin Man, that his skin's like turning to tin, and if he does, and if nothing's done soon, he'll turn completely into tin, like how Zelena turned completely green. So he mentions how this crimson heart will help cure him. So Zelena is wondering if she should help him or not, because she's changed, so she doesn't use magic for the greater good anymore. So they go off into the forest and they see this ferocious lion. I thought he was gonna really maul Samson, but Zelena's able to fight him off, and he's proud of her for using her magic for the greater good. And um, when they see the lion again, she turns him into a cowardly lion, which that's how the Cowardly Lion came to be. So Samson's about to use the Crimson Heart, but we find out that using the heart, it'll take away someone's magic, and it was about to take away Zelena's. And Zelena looks at this as a betrayal, because she thinks that maybe Dorothy put him up to this, trying to steal Zelena's magic. So she lets Samson become tin, and she's she misunderstands what Samson said, because she thought he said that magic is what made her special, and he says that's true, but you using it for the greater good is what made it special, and said that she'll probably live a lonely life, and when she goes back to her palace in Oz, she eats dinner and she feels alone. And in Storybrooke, the Black Fairy threatens Elena's baby. She's holding her, and I wouldn't let the Black Fairy hold a baby for too long. So Zelena wants to protect Robin and face the Black Fairy, but Regina is trying to convince her not to, because she's kind of acting on impulse and emotions at the moment. So they're all trying to think of a way how to stop the Black Fairy, and Zelena wants to do this on her own. So she decides to go against Regina's wishes and lets Belle watch Robin. And she goes into the mines, and Regina actually follows her there, and they have a falling out because Zelena doesn't understand why Regina wants to protect her now, because Regina has been blaming Zelena for Robin's death and everything, and she hasn't said she's sorry over it for it. And it seems like Zelena means well. Like, she's really trying to do the right thing, and Regina wants to protect her sister, but she's kind of going about it the wrong way. So they end up like literally fighting each other, like throwing each other against the wall, and actually causes the mine to collapse. And I do not think their mother Cora would be very happy to witness her daughters fighting like this, because her dying wish was to have her daughters hold on to each other and be there for each other. And this comes on the 1 year anniversary of the Sisters episode, so this made me like all tear up and everything. But like they're like the only family basically that each other's got. So I was like hoping they can find some way to work together, and they go and they see this trail of fairy dust in the mines, and sure enough, Gideon and the Black Fairy meet them down there, and Gideon is basically threw Regina against the mine wall, and Zelena thinks that she can overtake the Black Fairy, but it turns out her magic isn't as powerful as the Black Fairy, and um, the Black Fairy reflects Zelena's magic to the fairy crystals. So I wasn't sure exactly what that means, like what that would do. But she said her magic basically is intertwined in the crystals at the moment, and Regina blames Zelena for what happened, and um basically says that even when Zelena isn't the villain, she's a villain. She's always messing things up for everyone. So she says, "Why don't she says to her, why don't you go back to where you belong in Oz?" And I love Regina. She's one of my favorite characters on the show. But I thought that was so cruel. I mean, all Zelena wants is to be loved and to be accepted by everybody, and I think that's why she always wants to be the best at everything, and she wants to prove herself, because her feeling like she's better than everybody else, she thinks that'll gain their respect and approval of her, but um it doesn't. But I felt so bad for Zelena in that moment, and she tries to use a tornado from Oz to go back. She tries to use a tornado to go back to Oz, but she actually decides not to, and realizes that Regina is the only family she's got, so she decides to stay in Storybrooke, and she mentions about the Crimson Heart and says that this can help them defeat the Black Fairy, but the consequence being that Zelena would have to give up her magic. And when they go into Regina's vault with Regina and Emma, Zelena doesn't know what will happen, but she makes them both promise that if anything happens to her, that Regina will look after her daughter, which, she agrees, and so does Emma, saying that she's one of us. So Zelena actually sacrifices her magic, her birthright, to save everybody, which I gotta say, that's really big for Zelena. She's definitely has been misunderstood, and she's definitely has overcome a lot, and I think she's earned her title as a hero with this episode. And when Regina asks how does she feels weak, but she said she feels weak, but Regina says, but you never look stronger, and she said how proud of her she is, and I'm really proud of Zelena, because like I said, she's been through so much, and she's overcome so much, and she's come so far. I'm really proud of the person Zelena's become. So at the end, they decide to help Gold and Belle wake up the Black Fairy. Not the Black Fairy, the Blue Fairy. And they were able to do that. And we see at the end of the episode that the Black Fairy doesn't want the Blue Fairy to be woken up, because there's a dark secret that she has, the real reason why she gave up Rumple, which I'm very curious to see what that means. Like, I know at one point they said that fairies can't love, so does that mean they can't, quote unquote, love their children, like they can't have children or something? I'm not sure. But the other things that were going on in this episode is that Henry was struggling with his author powers. He's trying to figure out what that message that he wrote in Regina's vault means, and he wants to be the hero, but his author powers are like in whack and not working at the moment. So Charming suggests he, relax and take it easy. But Emma and Hook are trying to have breakfast, or quote unquote have pancakes, when they're interrupted by snow. And she has this huge book of wedding planning. Apparently she's been planning Emma's wedding since after the first curse, which I think it's kind of cute she's doing this, and it's also kind of funny because David at one point says he went back home to the apartment and says he had to get his wallet because Snow's planning is picking wedding venue. So it's really funny that I just kept thinking to myself, Snow's really gonna um burn a hole in his wallet. Like she's gonna really spend a fortune on this wedding. And Emma and Hook, they're not really giving their opinion on the wedding. They're just letting Snow and Charming argue. They're arguing about the wedding venue. Snow suggests Granny's, and I'm thinking, really, Granny's? That's the best you could come up with? I mean, no offense to Granny, but really? So then she comes up with City Hall in the, um, I guess the hall or community room area. And David says, no, it's not good enough. Why not? Well, Emma jokingly said, why not the Enchanted Forest or Camelot? And David says, why not? Is thinking, why not our castle in the Enchanted Forest? And Snow is mad. I'm like, you apparently don't come between Snow and her wedding planning. And David reveals that he doesn't feel like Emma and Hook should rush into the wedding, that they should plan this out and get married when they're ready, because with the final battle coming, they don't know what to expect. And Emma and Hook decide to postpone the wedding for a little bit because no matter what happens, whether she dies in the final battle or she wins the final battle, she says she dies, it'll be a short wedding, but if she survives it, then they'll still have the wedding. So, I mean, for right now, it looks like the wedding's postponed, but I know in 2 weeks they're really advertising for the musical episode. That's when the Hook and Emma wedding is supposed to happen. So I'm very curious to see that episode and see how they're going to do the Emma and Hook wedding with the whole musical element to it. And with next week, it looks like they're going to be showing the Black Fairies backstory, and it's going to show apparently it's going to show Rumple's birth and why she really gave up Rumple. So yeah, that should be very interesting to see, and depending on the circumstances, Rumple will probably be royally pissed. So I hope you guys enjoyed Once Upon a Time tonight. I really enjoyed tonight's episode. This is probably one of my favorites this season. That and I think page 23. Well, I think this one's more my favorite episode this season. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode. And if it also happens to be Bex's birthday today, so I hope everybody wishes her happy birthday. And if you guys want to check out Once Upon a Time, it is on Sundays, 8 p.m. on ABC. Till next time, stay regal.